Barry stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the vibrant tie around his neck. The deep purple hue complemented his neatly pressed white shirt, a stark contrast that brought out the brightness in his eyes. Clean lines, sharp creases, everything just the way he liked it. His reflection smiled back at him, content and confident. But as much as he admired the man in the mirror, his thoughts were elsewhere, drawn to the warmth and beauty that awaited him downstairs. Sherry, his wife, was in the living room, surrounded by a sea of vibrant Ankara fabrics. The rich, intricate patterns spread across the floor like a colorful tapestry, each piece more dazzling than the last. Sherry was beautiful, with a radiance that seemed to intensify whenever she wore her beloved Ankara. Her chubby frame added to her charm, making her all the more irresistible to Barry. He adored everything about her, her curves, her confidence, and the way she always seemed to find joy in the simplest things. Today, Sherry was preparing for a trip that would take her away from him for a while. She worked with a multinational company, and this assignment was an important one, a career milestone that would send her outside Nigeria. Barry was proud of her dedication, her ambition, but the thought of being apart, even for a short time, left him with a twinge of sadness. As Barry descended the stairs, he found Barry seated on a cushion, packing her handbags. She was focused, her fingers deftly folding and tucking the fabric into neat bundles, a slight furrow of concentration on her brow. Her bold earrings, large and circular, swayed gently as she moved, catching the light in a way that made them seem almost alive. Barry watched her for a moment, his heart swelling with love. He was a man who loved order and cleanliness, but when it came to Sherry, he found beauty in the chaos she sometimes left in her wake. The scattered fabrics, the open suitcase, the half-packed handbags, it was all a part of who she was, and he wouldn't change a thing. "Sherry," he said softly, stepping closer. She looked up, her eyes meeting his with a smile that made his heart skip a beat. "Hey, love. How do I look?" "Stunning, as always," Barry replied, taking in the sight of her in the bright Ankara gown she had chosen for the day. The colors, bold reds, blues, and yellows, seemed to sing against her dark skin, a perfect harmony of vibrance and elegance. Sherry laughed, a soft, melodic sound that filled the room. "You always know what to say." "I mean every word," he said, moving to sit beside her. "But I was thinking, while you're away on this big assignment, I could take a little trip of my own. What do you say?" Sherry raised an eyebrow, curious. "A trip? Where to?" "Still thinking," Barry said, watching her reaction closely. "I've always wanted to go, and I thought, why not now? It could be a perfect getaway while you're gone." Sherry's eyes widened with excitement. "That sounds amazing, Barry. You should definitely go. You deserve a break." He grinned, glad to see her so enthusiastic. "I thought so too. I've already started looking at locations, flights, and hotels. You'll be gone for 3 weeks, and I can join you anywhere for a few days before you head back." Sherry leaned in, pressing a kiss to his cheek. "You're brilliant. It'll be good for you. And when I get back, we'll have so much to talk about. Your location and my assignment, it's going to be quite the adventure for both of us." Barry nodded, wrapping an arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. "It will be. But until then, let's make the most of the time we have left before you go. We've got 3 days to enjoy each other's company." Sherry sighed contentedly, resting her head against his chest. 3 days, she repeated softly, her voice tinged with a hint of longing. "Let's make every moment count." And so, As the vibrant colors of Sherry's Ankara gown swirled around them, and the plans for their respective adventures took shape, Barry and Sherry held on to the love that had always colored their world, bright, bold, and unbreakable. The dawn of their final morning together arrived with a quiet stillness, broken only by the soft rhythm of their breathing. Barry was the first to wake, his eyes slowly opening to find Sherry nestled against him, her hand entwined with his. For a moment, he just watched her, memorizing the curve of her lips, the rise and fall of her chest, the warmth of her presence. Reluctantly, Barry leaned in to kiss her forehead, whispering, "Sherry, it's time." Sherry stirred, her eyelids fluttering open as she blinked away the remnants of sleep. "Already?" she murmured, her voice thick with drowsiness. Barry nodded, a gentle smile on his lips. "We've got to get you to the airport." With a shared sigh, they rose from bed, moving through the motions of their morning routine with the ease of long familiarity. They showered together, the warm water a soothing balm against the creeping tension of the day. Every touch, every glance was laden with the weight of impending separation. Afterward, they dressed in comfortable silence. Barry opted for a blue denim jacket and matching pants, the casual outfit reflecting his desire to stay strong, even as the thought of Sherry leaving tugged at his heart. Sherry, true to her style, slipped into an Ankara short gown, the bright patterns a stark contrast to the somber mood of the morning. They grabbed some snacks on their way out, Barry driving his yellow Honda Civic through the still quiet streets. The closer they got to the airport, the heavier the air between them became, filled with unspoken words and lingering looks. At the airport, Sherry checked in, her colleagues already waiting by the gate. Barry, unable to resist, stole every opportunity to kiss her, on her cheek, her forehead, her lips, each peck a silent promise to stay connected despite the distance that would soon separate them. Finally, the time came to say goodbye. Sherry held Barry's face in her hands, her eyes searching his as if trying to imprint his image in her memory. "I'll miss you," she whispered. "And I'll miss you more," Barry replied, his voice thick with emotion. He pulled her into a tight embrace, holding on for just a moment longer before letting her go. With one last lingering look, Sherry turned and walked toward her colleagues, leaving Barry standing alone. He watched her until she disappeared from view, his heart heavy, yet full of love. Then, with a deep breath, he turned and made his way back to the parking lot. His yellow Honda Civic seemed smiling, waiting to take him home to a house that would feel far too empty without her. However, Barry felt like wrath that broke its chain, thinking of his getaway to earlier determined South Africa. Barry stood at the edge of the boarding gate, his eyes fixed on the airplane's tail as it ascended into the cloudy skies of Lagos. The knowledge that Sherry, his wife of 5 years, was now on her way to Europe for an official assignment filled him with a strange mix of emotions: relief, excitement, and a hint of guilt. He had never done anything like this before, but the thrill of what lay ahead pulled him forward. Sherry's departure marked the beginning of Barry's own adventure, one he had meticulously planned for months. With Sherry away, Barry could finally meet Tyler, his longtime Instagram crush who lived in Johannesburg, South Africa. Tyler was a goddess in his eyes, with her flawless, fair skin and beauty that seemed almost otherworldly. They had connected over 2 years ago on Instagram, and since then, their daily exchanges had blossomed into something deeper, something Barry could no longer ignore. Without hesitation, Barry booked his flight to South Africa. The days flew by as he packed his things, his mind solely focused on Tyler. The moment the plane touched down in Johannesburg, Barry felt a rush of anticipation. The city's energy buzzed around him, matching the excitement that pulsed through his veins. He checked into a luxurious hotel in the heart of the city, its modern elegance a perfect backdrop for the rendezvous he had long fantasized about. Not long after his arrival, Tyler met him at the hotel lobby, her presence even more enchanting in person than it had been on the screen. They embraced, and it was as if the world around them ceased to exist. For the next few days, Barry and Tyler were inseparable, exploring the vibrant streets of Johannesburg, visiting art galleries, dining at exquisite restaurants, and laughing together like old friends. The chemistry between them was undeniable, and Barry felt alive in a way he hadn't in years. Tyler was everything he had imagined: beautiful, witty, adventurous, and being with her made him forget all about his life back in Nigeria. One afternoon, while lounging at a rooftop bar overlooking the city, Tyler turned to Barry with a mischievous grin. "I have an idea," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Let's pretend to be a married couple and join a wife swap club." Barry was taken aback. "A wife swap club?" "Yeah," Tyler said, laughing at his expression. "It's just for fun. We'll bring proof of marriage, make some new friends, and see what happens. It'll be our little adventure." The idea was so outrageous that Barry couldn't help but be intrigued. He knew Tyler loved to push boundaries, and the thought of experiencing something so wild with her was too tempting to resist. They quickly devised a plan, crafting fake documents that would pass as proof of marriage. With everything set, they headed to the exclusive club housed within the extravagant Purple September apartments, a six-star establishment known for its lavish events. The evening of the party arrived, and Barry dressed to impress. He wore a crisp white shirt, tailored black trousers, and his favorite Tom Ford blue jeans cologne that Sherry had gifted him years ago. Tyler looked stunning in a sleek red dress that hugged her curves, her beauty radiating as they walked into the grand lobby of the Purple September apartments. Inside, the atmosphere was electric. The club was filled with well-dressed couples, all looking to indulge in the night's festivities. Barry and Tyler moved through the crowd with ease, dining, drinking, and dancing with a carefree abandon. The night felt surreal, like a dream where everything was possible. As the evening drew on, the event's main attraction was announced: the wife swap lottery. Each man would draw a key from a basket, corresponding to a room where their date awaited. Barry's heart raced as he dipped his hand into the basket, pulling out a key with the number 107 etched into it. Tyler squeezed his hand, giving him a playful wink before he made his way to the designated room. The hallway was quiet as Barry approached room 107, the key heavy in his hand. His mind raced with thoughts of the unknown woman waiting for him on the other side. He slid the key into the lock, the door creaking open to reveal a dark room bathed in the soft, flickering glow of candles. The sweet scent of jasmine filled the air, mingling with the delicate fragrance of English lavender soap, a scent that tugged at a distant memory. Barry's eyes adjusted to the dim light, and he saw her, a woman lying on the bed, her figure hidden beneath a silky sheet, her breath slow and steady. The anticipation was almost unbearable as he approached, his heart pounding in his chest. Before he could think, he leaned in, capturing her lips in a kiss. The response was immediate, familiar, electric. Barry's mind reeled. There was something unmistakable about this kiss, a sensation that sent chills down his spine. He pulled back slightly, his hands trembling as they brushed against her head. His fingers met bare skin, a bald head. Panic surged through him as he fumbled for the light switch. With a click, the room was flooded with light, revealing the woman on the bed. Barry's eyes widened in horror as he stared at the familiar face, the face of his wife, Sherry. Sherry, he gasped, his voice barely more than a whisper. Sherry's eyes flew open, and she stared at Barry in shock, her mouth opening and closing as she struggled to comprehend what was happening. The air between them crackled with disbelief, anger, and betrayal. "What are you doing here?" Sherry finally managed to say, her voice shaking with emotion. "I could ask you the same thing," Barry replied, his heart hammering in his chest. Sherry's eyes narrowed, and suddenly the pieces fell into place. She had known something was off before she left, had felt the distance growing between them, but she had never imagined this. Now, here they were, caught in a twisted, cruel joke that neither could laugh off. "I followed you," Sherry said coldly, sitting up and wrapping the sheet around her. "I had a feeling. I needed to know what was really going on." Barry felt his world crashing down around him. The thrill, the excitement, everything he had chased after, evaporated in an instant, replaced by a deep, gut-wrenching regret. He had wanted adventure, had wanted to escape, but he had never imagined it would lead him here, facing the one person he had promised to love and protect. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, the weight of their actions hanging heavily in the air. Barry's mind raced, searching for words that could make this right, but he found none. "I'm sorry," Barry finally whispered, knowing it wasn't enough. Sherry looked at him with a mixture of pain and resignation. "Sorry isn't going to fix this, Barry." With that, she stood up, gathered her things, and walked out of the room without looking back, leaving Barry alone with the cold realization of what he had lost. The night had ended, not with the thrill of a wild adventure, but with the cold sting of betrayal and a love that had been shattered beyond repair.